Hello, welcome back to another episode of Xbox Infinite. And yeah, I typed in the chat, get ready to hate Riskit, because I've probably got some opinions that you guys aren't going to like for a change. Something new for you all. But before we get into the hating on Riskit, let's do the intros. Dante, welcome back to the show. Dante with an O, for some reason it won't change it. I don't know why, but it won't. Welcome back, man. How you been? How's your week been? What have you been up to? How's life?
Hey, man. Been a really interesting week, but life's been great, man. Happy to be here. Excited to talk about some of our topics tonight. Yeah, it's a lot to talk about, so glad to be here.
Absolutely, there's a lot to talk about. It's going to be a very interesting show. Garuda Intruder, how's your week been? What have you been up to? How's things? How's life? What's going on?
Life's... Yeah, it's not the best time of my life, to be honest. I'm ever the positive guy, but it's a bit rough. But games are an escape from all of that. And that's why I'm here, and that's why I play games. So I have been playing... I finished Sea of Stars and the sequel in the same universe, The Messenger. They're awesome. And I started to play yesterday Death Stranding. I've never played it before on my PC with my Xbox controller. And... oh man, that game is... I'm going to give it a chance, but man, I almost fell asleep. It's just mostly cutscenes, and it's sort of like a AAA baby steps. Like you trip over a rock and he hits his head, and it's just like, yeah, I'm not sure about it, but yeah, I'm playing those pony games. But yeah, thanks for having me, and I'm here on time this week.
Yeah, that's I've heard that's one of the most boring games on the planet. And it takes 10 hours to get into it, so I was super excited to never pick that up and never play it. Infinite Umbra, how's your week been? How's things? How's life? There's your intro.
It must be Aussie like tradition to ruin good hip hop. Is that what it is? I'm so sorry, chat. I wanted to give you all real soul, real hip hop, but Riskit and messed it up for you. But yeah, I'm great. Who run it? Yes, I'm good. We had a really good show yesterday on my podcast, The Infinite. Excuse me, The Fix. I'm on The Infinite now. I am scatterbrained. Listen.
Because you've been talking around.
Doing well.
He turned me all the way off with the hip hop part. That's what it messed me all the way up. It just
yeah. Being completely out of time with the music is what I like to do. You know.
Yeah. No, but yeah, we had a good time yesterday on The Fix. I had Shane Bailey. We had my boy John Wolf come through in the clutch at the last second, and my boy Crusader. It was a really good show, really good talk. If you all haven't checked it out, please go do that. I haven't had, like you, Risk, I think you haven't had much time. I haven't had much time in the game either. But when I did, I teamed up with Holly and a few other friends to help me run through Division 2. We're still playing through that, so I'm loving it. It's beautiful. Oh,
great game.
I'm really starting to get an appreciation for that snow, what's it called? The
Snowdrop. Yeah, Snowdrop engine.
Snowdrop. Yeah, the Snowdrop. I'm really starting to get an appreciation for that engine. I won't betray my Unreal Engine, but it's looking good, I will say. So, yeah, I'm enjoying that, and I got Armored Core 6 that I'm going to jump into sometime. So, yeah, happy to be here with you guys. Thank you, Dante and Garuda, for being here with us again.
Mm-hmm. Awesome to have you guys on. And, of course... if I could find my buttons. Blue number. Holly, how you doing? How's your week been? What have you been up to?
Hey, everyone. I still can't hear any of it. We're going to have to work on that.
Yeah.
Hello. I have been playing a lot of The Division 2 this week because it is my favorite shooter. And I was super duper happy when... Umbra said, hey, I kind of want to play this game. And I was like, yes, I'll start a new character. Yes. And I played with Dante, and I played with Colt, and I played with Red Wolf, and I played with Assassin, and then last night we had a Renegade Realm podcast game night, and we played Lethal Company, which is just, oh my gosh, if you have PC friends at all, it is the funnest survival horror co-op, goofy, the best audio, like proximity chat in any game you'll ever play. It's so
It's
much fun.
amazing.
If you have a chance, you should
Yeah.
do. It's so
It's
good.
amazing. Yeah, so
I didn't know
super
you
funny.
had it. Oh,
Yeah,
I would try
thanks
to
for
get
the
Colt to
invite,
play it.
Holly.
We'll have to get Colt in because I think that would be funny.
Oh, you
Anyway,
PC shills.
so what?
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 I didn't say anything.
Anyway, that's what I've been doing and playing a lot of Call of Duty because I am that person. And that's it.
Well,
But-
based on your week, Arsman Gold would be proud. I mean, Asmund Gold would be proud of you guys.
Y'all need to stop. I like Asmund. Don't let me in with the hate that you're getting because I like the man.
I don't not like him. I just, if you name yourself Arsman, it's not my fault.
Stop it.
Here we go.
It's not my fault.
Yeah, stop it. Stop it.
Shout out to us, Asmund Gold. Look, me. Let's talk about me. Me. I've had a hell of a week. It's been a bit of a rough week for me. I've got stuff going on, nothing to do with gaming, but as well, gaming. I've got to be honest. I haven't had a chance to do much this week. Like I said, it's been busy, but I'm a little bit. Well, there's no other way to say it. I've been a little bit pissed off at some sections of the community, and we're about to get into that. Before we do, guys, please hit the like button before I say anything bad and you hate me and leave. Share us out. We go live 7 p.m. EST every Friday. If you're in Australia, it's 11 a.m. in the East Coast and West Coast, Best Coast at a.m. So this is my thing. Excuse me for coughing. It's very unprofessional. This is my thing. So we had the direct or whatever it was, the podcast, right? So a lot of the rumors that were leaked by the actual insiders were that that some like 3 specific games were going over. I think it was Hi-Fi Rush, Sea of Thieves, and Starfield was definitely one that was leaked by Grub. Grub leaked that. So Grub leaked Gears and someone else leaked Starfield. So here's my thing. The fucking insiders were right, guys. They were actually right. So games are going to PlayStation. They told you this. If you listen to it, they actually told you that that's probably not going to be it. And the hate that these guys are getting is just absolutely ridiculous. The people out there calling Xbox guys that have been Xbox guys since before they've even like fucking come onto the scene, like since the early 2000s, the mid 2000s, since Twitter existed, and you guys are calling them fake fans. They've been supporting this brand for decades. Like, I just think, who the fuck are these guys? And most of the time, like, for the most part, it's guys who've only been around recently, and who I would consider bootlickers, man. Like, this is the thing. Lately, we've seen a lot of absolute fanatics come onto the scene. Like, people who are just fanatically will support anything that Xbox does. That is a fake Xbox fan. Xbox guys have never been like this. This is not what we do. Like, we don't go around attacking our own, for one. 2, we don't just accept anything that Xbox feeds us. That's what ponies do. If that's what you're doing, you're a fucking pony bot in my mind. Sorry to say. Like, and here's the other thing that's on the side of this. Like, but if Xbox does something I don't like, I'm going to tell them. Like, and so should you. Now, here's the other thing about the rumors. Now, how do you say this without? So, look, in this whole thing, I didn't say much about what I'd heard, but I did hear some things as well. Some things that I definitely confirmed. There was a reason Tom Warren came to the show last week. Like there's things that were happening in the background that a lot of people didn't see. It was like an iceberg. You guys got to see the tip, and then there was a little bit underneath that I got to see, and then the guys who actually do this for a living, that the insiders, the media guys, they probably saw a whole lot more. And I can tell you this for an absolute fact: the reaction pushed Xbox back a little bit. It didn't do nothing. It served its purpose. Like Xbox heard us. And they went, okay, it's too soon for us to jump on this. So I haven't confirmed this, but I'm going to say this one fucking thing that I know is true, that I'm pretty sure is true. I have heard this, and I haven't confirmed this, but there is a fucking Starfield port for PS5. So there is one. It exists. And I don't know this either for sure, but I'm pretty sure that the reaction that the community came out with stopped that from being announced as a game going to PlayStation 5. Like, I don't know that for sure, but I'm pretty sure there's a port. I've been told there is one. I haven't confirmed it. So it just astounds me that now everyone's going after these, what they're calling fake insiders or whatever the hell they are. And I am not saying I'm an insider. Up until all this happened, I heard a couple of things from different people, but I would never have called myself an insider, and I'm still not. But I haven't. The amount of information that got passed on to me this fucking week was like these past couple of weeks is unbelievable. And I didn't come out and say anything. That's another thing. I didn't, because I don't know, man. I don't know if this is true or that's not true. And these guys know how to confirm sources. This is what they do. Like, and so some of the things that they confirmed 100%, they happened. They're happening. Like it's crazy to me that, like, people, insiders are out there going, yeah, there's some Xbox games going to PlayStation. And then Xbox comes out and goes, yeah, we're sending Xbox games to PlayStation. And then fucking, like, everyone's like, see, you can't trust insiders. They're all full of shit. Like, that's absolutely insane to me. Like, anyway, I guess that's my rant. Like, just stop attacking these guys. Like, Jez, for one of them, who is a friend, he had a family issue that he had to go deal with. He wasn't stepping away or walking back anything. Everything that he actually said, if you go back and look, it happened. I think except for one thing. And if you look at his track record, he's usually on point. Like, and then everyone's attacking these guys. It's just fucking insane to me. Like, the complete lack of self-awareness and the fact that everyone's acting like fucking PlayStation fanboys, it's just fucking disgusting. Like, I literally am disgusted in the fucking some of the community. Like, yeah, we don't act like this. This is not how Xbox guys act. It's fucking, yeah, I cannot believe it. Anyway, obviously, I'm pretty pissed off with the community. So, look, I'm going to go to someone who's cool, calm.
Son. Let it out. Let it out.
You absolutely, I think, hit it on the head. And a lot of stuff you heard, I heard. Like, these are the things. Like, the thing that bothers me is, Risk, you saw that, right?
Yeah, I got him. Jump in the lobby.
Okay. He got you, brother. So, part of the thing that I have an issue with is I used to have that thought too, like, this is an Xbox, guys. This is not how we are. Now it feels like this is how we are. And that's unfortunate. Is somebody dog bark? So it feels like this is what we are now. You're all good. But it feels like this is what we are now, and we should not be. And because I look at it like, listen, typically, and at least the way I used to see it in the community, we used to be much more mature in how we handled and approached things. What's up, brother?
What's up, man?
Not much. So I feel like everybody is overreacting, and then there is a lot of like finger pointing. Again, like Riskit pointed out, a lot of these guys when they came and shared good news you wanted to hear, you were all championing them and yay, Jazz, yay, Special Nick. You know, now when there's something you don't want to hear, you can't listen to them. They're trash. Don't listen to rumors. Don't ever listen to rumors. You can't pick and choose, folks. If it's a rumor you like, you can't take that, and then when it's a rumor you don't like what you hear and say, I'm not listening to that. That's not how it works. That's how a kid reacts to things.
And to add on to that, just real quickly, too, is the fact that, I mean, we're talking about people that are actually in journalism, right? And these are the people that you do like, Phil, Sarah, Matt Booty, you know, anybody at Xbox, when they want to have an interview to explain something, or provide some more detail, they go to The Verge, they go to Windows Central, right? So it's not like these are just popular people on Twitter that have a fancy Twitter account and, you know, might know a couple people that work inside a place. These are people that have a very trusted a friendship, and not friendship, but they have a trusted relationship, professional relationship with people at a lot of these companies. So it's to your point about what you like, what you don't like. I mean, they are journalists at the end of the day, right? And they speak to the people and they are provided the information from Xbox, at least for what we see in articles and things like that, right? So it's not somebody on the corner, right? It's getting neighbors. It's like, it's not people over the fence. These are people who are, you know, on the front lines all the time
random
and trusted
sources.
They're trusted by Phil and everybody at Xbox. Yes.
People were trashing Tom Warren, and Tom Warren just literally had an interview with Phil the other day and got more answers out of him than anybody else did, actually, which, by the way, gives us proof that more games will be coming at a later date, depending on how these 4 games that they didn't name are going to do. So it's like these, like you said, these guys are vetted and as trusted sources. And Alvin, to your point, you say fanboys can absolutely pick and choose. They're fanboys, not rational actors. It's their nature. I'm a fanboy. You're a fanboy, Alvin. I have a different look when it comes to fanboys. But there are fans. We're all fanboys. We're all fanboys. Fanboys and fangirls of something.
I'm the biggest spot.
People who are fans of a specific game. They are a fanboy of that game. I think fanboy has taken a negative connotation, but I think we're all fanboys or girls of something. It's a matter of how extreme you are to it. Extreme fanboys absolutely should be mocked and pulled back to be and corrected. They should not just allow, well, they're fanboys, so let them just say wild stuff. That's not how it works. We are adults, and if you see somebody acting irrational and saying stupid things and harmful things, you should call them out for correction. Me personally, if I'm doing something wrong, I don't mind being corrected. Call me out and say, hey, pull me aside. Hey, brother, such and such and such. Okay, oh, hey, I'll look into that. I might not want to hear it at that point, but I'll adjust. These are adults. These are not little kids acting like this.
Absolutely will not. That's not true. Continue.
So that's what I mean by that. And I get you, Alvin. I do get what you mean, but like I look at it differently when it comes to fanboys. That's what I mean. I think all of us kind of do. But again, I think, and I've said this before here, and I've said it elsewhere. When it comes to the community kind of turning against each other, that's the part I really dislike. So we have to stop that. What's up, Shane? We have to stop the whole finger pointing and you and like turning against each other. That to me is, I really find that. I hate to use the word abhorrent, but I hate it. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And it's something where I feel like our community has been much stronger and united than our Hoove brothers.
Until some bad actors came in. Yep.
And there are some bad actors in it, for sure. And unfortunately, they've been hoisted up. But I'm not going to go on to tell anybody who they can and can't support. I'm not even going to go that route. I'm just going to say, be more mindful instead of jumping to emotion. And a lot of people jump into extreme emotion.
I'm going to say this one thing as well. If you go to a YouTube channel, and I'll go to you. Well, I want to do an intro for Black Viking because he's turned up, hasn't said a word. And we have an intro, but like if you go to a YouTube channel, and let's say the thing's got 20,000 subscribers, and they post a video, and it get 500 likes, there's probably something a little bit fishy going on there, and I would look into that. I'm just saying. Black Viking, welcome to the show, man. How you doing? We got some hate for the community this week, so I'm sorry to drag you into this shit. How you doing?
No, it's all good, man. Yeah, appreciate you having me on, man. For real. And then Dante Moody. This is my first time with all y'all, actually. Oh, but Infinite. I think was I on a show with Boom?
You know what? You were on Boom. Were you on that with me? I'm not sure.
No, I don't think so, man. But yeah, it's
No,
a
I
pleasure
miss you.
being
I
here
miss
with
you.
y'all, man.
Absolutely. Same. Happy to
Yeah.
have you, brother.
Hey, and then
Likewise,
my botism, my fanboyism, it's all comedy, bro. Y'all motherfuckers know that. Y'all,
Of course.
it's comedy.
Of course. Now we know your type, right? Like your type of brand. What I mean by that, you, my
Yeah.
boy J Rock. That's we get that. I'm talking about
Yeah.
people who are really emotionally invested, like really going to the extreme.
They was going crazy, bro. Like people were going on both sides. You know what I mean? The ones that were irrational and selling their Xboxes, and then on the other side, the ones that are just like pick, like you said, pick and choose what rumors they want to believe and all that.
I call them bootlickers, but you can call me like.
What's up?
I call them bootlickers, but you can call them what you want.
For sure, man. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with criticizing, your preferred platform or whatever, man. Like, just don't be so damn like a baby about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 110%. I want to jump back to Blue, but like, yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of people that have come into the community, and since I've been in it, that have just gone fanatical. And look, there's an audience for that, man.
Yeah.
But listen, like, if you look at, okay, look, I don't like to put names on bullets, but I will. But if you look at Dirt, right? Dirt's pretty moderate, man. Like, but he's a bot. He's a self-admitted bot. He likes to jump into the console wars. I love Dirt. Dirt's a legend.
Yeah,
but
Dirt. Yeah,
that's my brother. Absolutely.
Yeah, you're gonna see some fanatics in that chat. Like, and I would like, you can absolutely criticize out of love for the brand. Like, I do not want them to start sending games over to PlayStation before they've even put an ABK game into Game Pass. That is just the height of like not try. You didn't try. They didn't try, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So like, and that's criticizing from a place of selfishness. Like, where's my damn games? And that's criticizing from a place of love for the brand. Like, what are you doing? You're going to kill the brand here. Like, you've got a chance to put the foot on the neck. That's more fanboyish than anything. I want to see them put their foot on Sony's neck this generation and squeeze. Like, and they got a chance to do it, and they're just not doing it. And that was disappointing. And that was sort of my reaction. There's no need to go crying in your car or anything. But Blue, how you doing?
I see what you did there. I see what you did there. You're not slick. I saw you.
Blue, you're gonna jump in, and we cut you off, and we apologize for that.
I know, sham it. No, I was just gonna say the other thing too that really annoys me about it all is like, it's one thing when you can very much tell people are joking and they call each other names or come up with whatever goofy thing they're gonna say, but there's been a lot of aggressive name calling within the community and towards some of those other people we were talking about earlier, and I hate it. Like, I just think it's childish, it's petty. Like I said, if you're joking around and stuff, that's one thing, right? But calling people names when you're a grown adult and you have bills and a mortgage and all of those things is just, it's so unnecessary, especially in public, right? Like, if you want to be treated with respect, you have to give respect back. And going around and causing all of these crazy fights and like angrily calling people names in public, I don't know how far that's going to get you in the long haul, right? I just, that part really bothered me for the last week. And that's my, what?
That's the other thing that I was going to say. Like, we like, you may, if you're in this community for long enough and you decide to go to a fan fest, you're going to meet these people like face to face. So remember, if you're going to say it on social media, you better be ready to say it to their face, right? Like, that's which I'm happy to do.
Oh yeah,
always.
I'm ready for it. Yeah. I'm ready for it, boy. I've been called so many names, bro. Don't let me catch you at one of them things, bro.
Right? The reaping and the sowing is just is bad. It's bad.
We haven't heard.
That's my biggest point. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
haven't heard from Dante and Garuda, so jump into Garuda just quickly first. Community, what you've seen the last week, where do you sit? You think these insiders should have just shut their mouth and not done what it is that they actually do? Or do you think that, because they were actually right, that everyone should just calm the fuck down and leave them alone? Stop pointing your anger at.
I think, look, I think, mate, like, that the insiders are doing their job, right? If they didn't, give us their rumors or their inside information, a lot of us in the community would probably have very little to talk about. We'd have to actually talk about games. So come on, man. Like, we don't want these guys to stop doing what they do, we don't want them to stop doing what they do. And whether or not they get it wrong, what people need to realize is and need to understand is that when these guys give us information, they are leaks, they are rumors and speculation, and they need to be taken as such. When people take them as gospel, that's when pride gets hurt. That's when people get embarrassed and start attacking each other. And, you can't take things as concrete information. They are leaks. So you have to take them as such, right? And be thankful that we have on the Xbox side people that do get information. If we're over on the PlayStation side, there are no true reliable insiders or leakers on the PlayStation side. They get nothing, right? Actually, the PlayStation leakers are all Xbox guys. So I mean, it is actually and it's a pretty apt timing, but it's fun to speculate, right? So we don't want them to stop delivering us this information, but what we do need to do is be a little bit respectful and like Holly was saying before. For me, as far as especially the last couple of days, I've seen some really disappointing back and forths between Xbox community members, and I just think that and my kind of standard is that on social media or on any platform, I don't speak to people through a keyboard differently to how I would speak to them if they were face to face with me in real life. And I think I wish more people would sort of take that sort of mantra moving forward. Like, I can't insult someone or say something if I didn't have the the plums to say it to their face, to be honest with you, to be frank. So there's a lot of that going on from keyboard warrior type stuff. A lot of people's pride has taken a hit. The insiders did predominantly get it right. I mean, most of them only said Xbox was bringing a few first party games, and that's what happened. A lot of the other stuff, like Xbox, changing their name and the brands going away, a lot of that stuff was just a product of Chinese whispers and, passion in the community spiraling out of control. And a lot of people are being blamed for things that they didn't really do. And I mean, I'm not sure why we're jumping off the deep end with some of this stuff and just fracturing the community even more. I think you just need to be adults about it, like Blue was saying, and play some damn games, because the news about Xbox that we got was nowhere near as bad as what was rumored to be. It's only good things, really, to be honest with you. Like,
you think that's good things? Well, fuck that. I'm gonna have a tantrum. I'm gonna have a tantrum right now on stream, right now.
I said mostly. Okay, I personally didn't want any of Xbox's first party games to go to PlayStation. Okay, I didn't, but we kind of knew that was coming. But as far as the damage was mitigated compared to what was rumored, and I do like to think, I have no information to say this, but I like to think that the noise we made as a community was heard, and a lot of the things that they were planning to do was backtracked. So how about we big each other up in the community and be proud of ourselves for making a big enough noise that Xbox actually listened? How about we do that instead of attacking each other? I think we made a difference. I like to think we made a difference. I do.
Well,
and
I'm pretty sure we did. Dante, haven't got your. You said before the show that you hated the community. You were off the community. You're going to go PlayStation. No, you didn't say any of that stuff. I just made it up. Where you at?
It's kind of what I told you, like what I said last week, though, like, because I was disappointed in some of the reaction that I saw last week, and then this week kind of reinforced it for some people in the community. It's not all in the community; it's just some. The people try to have it like two ways. And what I mean by that is like Gruda touched on it. On one point, when you're getting information from the people you call the insiders or etc., you're getting information, gives us something to talk about. It gives us something to be hyped about. And a lot of things that turn out right, it's kind of like, okay, cool. No one cares about the things that you got right? The same people who have leaked information or provided information, they've been right more times than not, and no one gives them credit for that. But everyone is sitting there waiting for that gotcha moment. So the one second you get it wrong, all of a sudden it's like, let's pile on because of whatever your particular feelings are because of your fandom. And I think that's the really unfortunate part. Like I've seen a lot of tweets, especially scrolling through the last couple of days, of people kind of calling out some people that I know that I'm good friends with that, calling them fake insiders and whatnot. And it's kind of like, I've been to a few of these Xbox events, and I've seen some of the people that are being talked about, knowing the connections that they have of people that they actually know from Microsoft, knowing that the connections are legitimate. So it's just disheartening when you see kind of random people kind of calling them out, saying, oh, fake insiders. Like, no, man, like people get information and then they try their best to convey what they heard to community, right? Sometimes it may not be correct. Sometimes something may be off or wrong, but it doesn't mean that they're just purposely trying to sour the community. And that's the part that's unfortunate that we've seen come out of some within the Xbox side of business over the last week or so. So, I mean, everything that you guys have touched on, I'm right there with you. It's been disappointing to see. I'm hoping that we've learned from this. I'm hoping that even they've learned from it as well, because I think some in the community have seen an opportunity where it's kind of like, even if I get some information, because it's like where there's smoke, there's fire, right? Like this didn't come from nowhere, right? We know that there were discussions that were being had. We know that there's still a possibility of games coming. Like these 4 that we're seeing probably are not the only ones that we'll probably see in the future. So we can't sit there and say that people were just making this stuff up. But maybe we should sit and wait on some things going forward until we get more definitive information. But I was happy to see Xbox community on Twitter kind of rally to voice their displeasure, because maybe it impacted some way into the information that we got delivered in their little podcast yesterday. So yeah, I'm disappointed community overall, but at the same time, I'm like, man, people need to kind of dial it back a little bit.
Yeah. That's 100%. And like exactly what you said as well. Like if you go to one of these events and you see who knows who and who talks to who, I don't think a lot of these random guys out there know like how connected behind the scenes this community is. Like it is heavily connected. Like, like if you want to talk to Iron Lords, like King, thanks for sending through all your people, man. Like we, like Cog, we're a cult, like the dealers, like we're all talk to each other. Like we're not at each other's houses having dinner every night, but we're all connected in the background. We all talk to each other, like boom. Like we don't always agree on everything either, but we always keep it respectful. And this is the thing I think with some of the newer content creators come in and they just don't have any respect. They haven't done their time, as far as I'm concerned. They haven't built a community off their own back. They built it off other people's backs, and they want to go and throw shade like they know something, and they don't know shit. As far as I'm concerned, and I've got plenty more to say that I can't say live, but we'll move on from the negative, going after the community bullshit. Before we do, Yudani Kazana with the $5 super chat. He said, "Some of y'all being as messy as Asmongold's room." To each other. He said
more. Hey, everybody make more fun of Asmongold, by the way. Holly loves that.
he said it's good to know Xbox isn't hoarding games and blessing Dry Station 5 with Redfall. We had another one come in just now from Phase 23 Brooklyn. Phase, I didn't know you were a PlayStation guy. Someone told me that. I'm like, hey, you're in a lot of Xbox podcasts, man. Phase 23 Brooklyn with the $50 super chat. Thank you very much, man. Appreciate that. He says, fella's doing the same thing he did with PC. It's only Chrono Break, and then 2 years later, everything. It was Hi-Fi Rush. Better not go to PS5 now. It's only 4 small games. If you think it will stop at 4 games, I've got a bridge to sell you. And that leads us into our next topic. And Phase 23 Brooklyn, I really probably don't disagree with you on
guy or girl.
He's PlayStation guy, man. I did not know that. Someone told me that.
Yeah. Well, welcome our Hoove brother. No, but listen, I was going to say one thing before you did move on, and I saw it on Rand's show. Shout out to Rand and Jez. Earlier, Rand had made a mention, and I thought it was kind of funny, and he had a point. He said that had the influencers or whomever, leakers, actually not kind of given us a heads up as a community or as to what was going to happen, we probably would have had an even worse reaction if they would have just came out with this business update and just told us the stuff they told us.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I think, I think that prepared us a little bit actually for what because remember we were all like, even me, I was like, oh, don't you bring the damn Hi-Fi Rush to PlayStation and Nintendo, and then after the fact, when it was like, oh, we're gonna bring over Starfield and Indiana Jones and Halo, it was like, okay, just give them the 4 small games, please. And it, you know, so
it was the psyop.
Exactly. I think it was, brother. I think it was a psyop. I'm telling you, I think Xbox purposely had some of that stuff put out there to kind of rile us up. And so they can kind of
kept them talking in the news, right? They were trending like all week for the last couple of weeks.
Absolutely. For the last couple of months.
It was kind of
this started in December. Yeah, well,
That-
sorry. It started. No, go ahead.
Yeah, it was
You
kind
said
of
double-edged
it was kind of a double-edged sword because like they kind of like during that whole process with like whenever I started seeing Starfield and Gears and shit up there, bro, I was like, listen, I'm not listening to none of these rumors at all, man, because it was a double-edged sword because like putting that out there, you know, the leakers or whatever, putting that out there kind of damaged the brand for a good while because that, I mean, everybody that's on Twitter, we're like 1% of the gaming community, right? But that shit went far and wide, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when people heard that, they probably still think that. They didn't watch this update, this business update thing. Like in their head, they still think that Gears, Starfield, all that stuff is coming to PlayStation.
That's a fair
You know
point,
what I mean?
actually. If it actually reached those people when they didn't see this.
Yeah, I mean,
You're right.
it was on Facebook, it was on Instagram, it reached TikTok. If it's on TikTok, bro, it's a wrap.
That's true. That's true.
Damn.
Yeah, look.
So
the other thing that I sort of forgot to add in that to riff off the back of you guys, what you're saying is a lot of people are saying like, oh, we wait and we hear the rumors and we don't do anything. We wait, and when they do it, that's when we say something. I'm like, how the fuck does that work? They've already done it. Like, if you wait until they put games on PlayStation, like it's done. They announce it, it's done. Like they ain't gonna roll that back. They've already signed contract, they've already inked deals. Like it's happening. That's a stupid mentality, man. For me, if I hear a rumor and it's credible and it's something I don't want to see Xbox do, you're gonna hear about it on my Twitter. You're gonna hear about it on YouTube. Like I'm gonna push back so that they know that I don't want this for my system. Like that's
easier to prevent something versus to reverse something.
Exactly that, man. I mean, and when you're talking about rolling back the price of gold, that's an easy thing to roll back. Rolling back that you've announced that games are going to a system, like
those contracts are already signed. Yep.
Yeah. That's not happening. Like, so that stupid mentality of like, you should have waited until like they announced it. We got to hear from Phil. Phil would never lie. Like, man, I'm not saying that Phil lies. I'm just saying that shit changes in the background, and then like it doesn't make Phil a liar. It just means the shit changed.
Right.
So like
same thing with these people who are putting these leaks out and stuff like that. By the way, right? Like Dante, you kind of hit on it. It's not, these guys are not being malicious, and when they say something or they leak something, that's possibly what it was at that point, and plans can change.
Mm-hmm. Exactly that. Things can change in the background, and like I said earlier, I haven't confirmed it, but I have heard that there is a PlayStation port of Starfield. They didn't shut that down. Like, that's what I heard. Because remember, they were making it for PlayStation? Well, I heard that they didn't stop developing that version. That's what I heard. I don't know if it's true. I haven't confirmed it. So I'm just saying, like, don't be surprised if in like a year they're like, we said like we're going to do it, and then we had that interview where we were like, well, we're not saying never, like, well, it's right. Happening.
And then the Verge interview would kind of give that little bit of a wiggle room, right? It's like, I never said never.
Can you imagine
know,
Starfield comes
said
out
that
on
in the
PS5
podcast.
at 60 FPS?
oh, that'd be it.
And that would be a problem.
Yes, that would be it, man.
That's when we got problems. Phil, we need to talk.
That's when I actually would cry in my car. Like, I was gonna say one more time. I didn't cry in my fucking car, right? Jesus. Let's move into the.
Let's
crying tears of
My eyes was
doom.
misty.
Yeah, it's humid in Australia, right?
Cold.
Let's move on to the next topic, which is the topic that we're in. Is the Xbox podcast. So, listen, man. Like, they didn't. So to me, they didn't do. We had these conversations. A lot of podcasts had these conversations about what they need to say when they come out, and to me, they didn't say it. So they didn't allay my concerns that they weren't bringing more. In fact, they confirmed my concerns that they were probably going to bring more at a later date. We'll see what happens. That's basically what I got out of that. And they didn't show us. They confirmed the hardware, so that's a good thing, right? So we got that. We got a confirmation of the hardware, but we already had that. I was never worried about the hardware personally. The next generation, it's the generation after that I'm worried about. I think they did enough clearly to sort of calm everyone down. They did that, but they definitely didn't allay the concerns. Look, and in the end, you can see exactly where Xbox is going, and I feel like it's sort of this. It's been this abusive relationship where like Xbox fans just continue to give ground. I guess my question is like, where is the line now, and what line are we going to push back on? Like, were we going to get to Gears of War, and that's the line, or is it Halo, and that's the line, or is it because Hi-Fi Rush is not the line anymore. We've moved that back, right? Sea of Thieves is not the line anymore. We've moved that back. Probably Grounded. We moved that one back too. Pentiment, no one gave a shit in the first place. Let's be honest. You can send that wherever the hell you want. You can send that to mobile, and I won't care. But where's the line now? So what is, I guess, for you guys, I'm interested to know, and the community, I want to know, where is your line? Like, is your line your library? So if you're concerned about your library, then that's your line. Or is it if they send over Redfall, that's the line? For me, I honestly couldn't give a shit if everything went third party, as long as I got my library. I know there's hardware coming out that I'm always going to be able to play on. Then I don't care. But I also understand that if you don't have exclusives, your player base will dwindle, and then eventually you're going to end up with no console. So, I mean, obviously there has to be a line, right? So I'll start at the top. Viking, where's your line? What's the line?
My line, I believe, is, and I kind of discussed this yesterday, was any game that you associate with what makes Xbox, and what's a console seller, right? Like if those type of games start going to other systems, then I'm not cool with it. The only one out of these games that kind of bothers me that's going over to PlayStation is Hi-Fi Rush. And the only reason why that is, not because I enjoyed the game and, that just belongs to us or whatever. It's because if the strategy behind it, if you're not already in development of a sequel of it, I would understand you putting it on there a year before you put an exclusive Hi-Fi Rush 2 sequel on Xbox, and that's it. You know what I mean? Because then it's like kind of like what they did with Octopath Traveler 2. Like they put it out there to get people familiar with the product, and then when the sequel comes out, it's only available here, if that makes sense, right? Like, and I'm also not too concerned about smaller titles going to other platforms, especially after they've exhausted their business on Xbox or PC, because I've never liked it with any company to just let shit sit on the shelf, right? So like you think about what's that PlayStation game that came out, some All Stars. What was that shit?
Destruction All Stars.
Destruction All Stars, right? So they didn't have enough players, so they had to shut that server down, right? Instead of knocking your ego aside and putting it on PC and Xbox and Switch or whatever to form a community around that game to further fund it and to hopefully make a sequel in the future for that, right? Because at this point now, with Destruction All Stars gone, that team is gone as well, right? Like, we care about the devs and keeping their jobs and stuff like that. So push your ego aside, put it on more platforms so that you build a community around it. Or even whenever you have a game like, let's say, Sea of Thieves, and it's booming, right? And then those player numbers start to dwindle and dwindle, but you know you want to Sea of Thieves too, right? So boom, let's put it on more platforms, get other people invested into it, and then when Sea of Thieves 2 comes out, have it on Xbox and PC, and that's it, right? And then you might be able to get people from those other platforms over to Xbox. It's a good strategy as long as it's not your flagship titles. Like, I don't want to see Hellblade, Avowed, Indiana Jones, Halo, Gears, Forza, none of those games.
Fable?
Right? No Fable. No, of course not. Perfect Dark, none of those, right? But something like a Towerborn, something like maybe 2 years down the line after it's been exclusive. Like, Towerborn's not going to sell on Xbox. It's just not. If that makes sense. Right?
No, it makes sense.
So when those player numbers dwindle, right, because it is a multiplayer, it has a story, microtransactions or whatever, then when those player numbers dwindle, push your product out to more fiends. You know what I mean? That's hood business. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on it. Like, I don't really have an issue with what they said. The only issue I have with Hi-Fi Rush, again, is I think it's too soon. Especially when you're not going to announce a Hi-Fi Rush 2 within a year or two, right? Like, that's probably going to be later down the line. Like, I would prefer them to put that on other platforms a year before Hi-Fi Rush 2. That way you can get another player base accustomed to it, and then launch the new title exclusively on Xbox and PC.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I guess my line. Yeah, I still have that line of the you're talking about identity games, the games that give us, the
game
Xbox
that somebody's going to go to the store and buy an Xbox for.
Yeah. This is the thing. Like, if you start putting out these games, start smashing out these big banger first party titles, you're going to sell consoles. That's going to happen. They haven't got to the point where they're putting. I mean, they put out a Redfall and a Hi-Fi Rush. And what else? They haven't started just putting banger out after banger after banger. They've had a few hiccups. Get rid of these hiccups and just banger after banger. That's exactly what PlayStation did. You're going to sell consoles. You're going to expand your player base.
For sure.
And we're going to see,
especially once these ABK titles come into play by the end of the year. They're doing the rollout. I guess that's what they announced yesterday. As soon as they start doing that, but the biggest thing about all of this. We're talking about selling consoles here, right? And getting more subscribers in the Game Pass. They need to change their formula when it comes to marketing. It's not enough just to show the games on the screen. People need to know what the hell Game Pass is and how to use it, right? Like, because some people don't even know about it. A lot of people think it's just like streaming or cloud stuff or whatever, when they don't know, like, those 500 games that are in there, they are yours if you're subscribing. You can download them natively to your PC or to your Xbox, and then you can play anywhere with those, like your cloud saves and all that. And I don't think they've done a good job. They've done a good job to, like, the hardcore, but not the casuals, man. You know what I mean?
Oh, definitely.
Like, they don't know. I ask my son's friends all the time that they game, like, they have PlayStations when they only play COD and 2K or whatever, and they don't know nothing about Game Pass, bro. Nothing.
Yeah. I mean,
Damn,
you talk to
ingrates.
any casuals.
Black Viking, I need you to snatch them up every time they don't know, like, subscribe.
No, I do.
I do. There you go.
Yeah.
See, that's a responsible man right there. That's a responsible man right there.
I do, but again, like, that I think the Xbox execs and stuff, I think they've relied too heavy on us to do that for them.
I kind of agree with you that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they need to, like, I need to see, I think I posted on Twitter, I need to see a commercial with, like, Drewski, Drake, Like whatever celebrities that you need to explain what the hell Game Pass is and make it funny. Like get in with the culture, because like games like Call of Duty, Madden, 2K, Fortnite, they ingrain themselves into the culture of the casuals, right?
Yeah,
so that's why those games are always promoted very well. They always do very well. Like we don't need a commercial that shows just the games with Game Pass at the end of it. Like explain what it is.
Yeah, but I disagreed with that, right? Because I don't know if you saw me on your timeline. The reason I disagreed is because I wanted, like, I've never seen a commercial in Australia for Game Pass. And then there was some other guys jumping in from Europe, and they're like, we've never seen a commercial for Game Pass. Like, I don't even know.
They only launched that commercial in the US, and I think that's horrible. They should launch those commercials everywhere. You know what I mean?
And why aren't they? I mean, I agree. I agree with, if it's a budget constraint, then I'm going to disagree and say, like, we don't need to be paying Drake like however much it's going to take to get him in a commercial. But if it's no budget constraint, and at this point there shouldn't be, right? Like, I get they've just spent $70 billion, but like invest in the marketing to let everyone know that you now have Activision Blizzard. You've now got World of Warcraft. You've got Diablo. You've got Call of Duty. You've got you've got Elder Scrolls 6 coming down the pike. You've got anything that anyone wants coming down the pipe. It's coming, but market that shit. Heavily market that shit. And they haven't. It's a problem. You're not wrong. 110%. I agree.
I don't think the problem is the games though, right? Like people can think Madden and 2K and GTA's in there. If they don't know how to use Game Pass or confused about Game Pass, they're not going to dig in. You know what I mean? Like, so Netflix, whenever they started doing the streaming thing, they had an excellent commercial showing you step by step how to use Netflix. You order online, you have your list. 2 days later, your movies come in. It comes with a prepackaged thing. You put it back in the mailbox, and it sends off, and you get your other shit, right? Not when the streaming, but they just go step by step with it, right? Even like the older Hulu commercials, like the fry your brain, this is your brain on Hulu type shit, right? Like they did an excellent job displaying how the streaming stuff works. And Game Pass needs to do the same thing with letting people know, like, these are your games that you can download natively. These saves are yours forever. You need to take a break, go ahead, come back into Game Pass whenever you want. Your saves are still there.
Have you ever tried to explain Game Pass to someone who doesn't know what it is? And they just look at you with this dumb look, and you can see it in their eyes.
That works. I was like, yeah, it does.
You can see it in their eyes. They're
it's
like
the Netflix of gaming, bro. Like
they've got this.
They've
got this. What's the catch? Look in their eye, right? They're always looking at you with this. I don't know about that. I think this guy's wrong. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm like, that honest. Try. And look, I sold one of my admin girls on getting an Xbox. She was a PlayStation girl, and I was like, this game's coming, this game's coming, this game's coming, and Game Pass and All Access. She got an All Access like Xbox through a phone company where you actually get Game Pass for free for the year, and you only pay the amount of the console. Like, why that's not being pushed is absolutely crazy. Got to get to Dante, man. Got to get to Dante. So thoughts on what was going on with the podcast. I feel like they haven't allayed concerns. What's your line? Where's the line? Where are you at?
Oh, so we talk about the line in terms of what games go over that I'm saying, hey, this is full stop.
Yeah. This is it for you. I mean, I'm not talking. Someone said I'm never leaving Xbox. I'm never leaving Xbox, but will I have a fucking tantrum about it? Hell yeah.
Yeah, because you know me, I'm here till the wheels fall off at this point. It's kind of like I'm invested in my digital library, so I'm not really going anywhere. Yeah, that's a tough question, man. I think Black Viking touched on something earlier. We was talking about the games that kind of are synonymous with Xbox, right? So for the most part, right now, when people think of Xbox, you probably think of Halo, Gears, and Forza, right? Those are your main staples. So selfishly, I'm like, hey, these are your identity games. These are your games that are like synonymous with the brand. if I'm being non-selfish, some of these games benefit from more players, right? So like if there was Halo multiplayer that went over to PlayStation, or Forza that went over to PlayStation, or Gears multiplayer to allow those communities to thrive, that probably could benefit those games. But to me, there's still these identity games that to me symbolize what Xbox is. So like I probably wouldn't want to see it, but I'm probably not going to make a huge fuss if it allowed those games to do better and to continue to get made, like better sequels, bigger, better expansions, and more money for the studios that are making them. But I think I'm also in line with you. Like, I don't want to see, like, you got to have your differentiators. You got to have your games that people say, well, why am I going to purchase an Xbox? If Sarah is going to come out yesterday and talk about the fact that new hardware is coming down the pipeline, so you're talking about that there's going to be not an iterative, but a huge generational leap in whatever the next mainline hardware is supposed to be, and then you got something else coming, which I'm thinking is probably going to be a handheld being announced sometime in October. So you want to push hardware. So in order for you to do so, you got to have some games that are differentiators that make people say, okay, I can only get that on Xbox, right? So you can't sit there and say that like everything can't just be kind of willy-nilly that yeah, we saw some success with these 4 games and then we're going to start putting some of our bigger hitters on there, like I mean, maybe Starfield ends up there, who knows, maybe at some point in time Indiana Jones ends up there, but you got to have this particular line where you say I can only get that on Xbox. So for me right now, yeah, it's probably those type of heavy hitters. So I don't want to see Hellblade. I think Indiana Jones should stay right where it's at for as long as possible. Same thing for Starfield. Halo, I want to see staying right where it's at. It doesn't bother me right now about the idea of Grounded or Sea of Thieves making it over there in terms of those communities being able to grow. To me, I think those are fine, but they have to be really, really careful with this, man. It's all about, you got to protect the brand. So I get Phil's position. At one point, you got to make sure that the business is thriving, but you also got to protect the brand to make people say, this is why I'm investing in purchasing your hardware. Otherwise, people just sit there and do what we see constantly on Twitter is like, oh, I'll just wait because that's eventually going to make it to PS5. And to me, it's like, nah, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you really want that, give them the reason that they got to buy the damn Xbox. That's what I want to see. But keep games where they're like, I got to buy the damn Xbox or get it on PC to get it. I can't just wait for it to come to my PS5. So, I mean, the line for me, I'm not going nowhere, but so I can't really say I got a line, but just wishful thinking, you got to keep it differentiators. So I want to see Halo, Gears, Forza, Indiana Jones. Those games I don't want to see, hey, we got an announcement for PS5 release, at least anywhere for the next few years.
Well, man, you can have Indiana Jones. Garuda.
Here you go.
Garuda, so where you at with this podcast? Do you think they allayed the concerns of the community? Do you think is there a line for you where, I mean, you've already crossed that line, right? You already flip-flopped. You've already gone to PC. At least you sold your PlayStation. I respect that. So, but what's the line where you think? I know you love Xbox. We can tell by your PFP. But what's your line? What do you think they should have done in the podcast? What didn't they do? Are your concerns allayed? Where you at with it?
Yeah, you're right. My personal line, as far as that concerned, has already been crossed, and as it sort of really became evident to me last year, and maybe even earlier than that the focus was really shifting away from the consoles, and I didn't feel like, as a Series X owner, that I was the focus. A lot of games were only on PC, Game Pass, and all these other kind of issues. You could tell they were moving the focus away, and the performance of the console, honestly, with all the developers sort of having the PlayStation 5 as the lead platform, the Series X wasn't getting the performance love that it should be getting. The golf wasn't there, and it pushed me over the edge, like with Starfield being 30 FPS. So my line was already crossed. As far as the games, though, what is my line as far as games going to other platforms? Again, any Xbox first party game going on PlayStation, that's my line crossed. It sounds pretty sort of cut and dry and a bit harsh, but that is what it is because, we all grew up in the days where the console was the focus and the console got you access to X games. And if you wanted these other games, you had to go to this console. And this kind of having Xbox first party games on a PlayStation just really changes gaming as we know it. And also the other reason why my line has been crossed is because Grounded, believe it or not, is actually my favorite Xbox exclusive game. I've got something like 16 days playtime in it. Everything that's great about gaming, in my opinion, is in that game. I love it. It's sort of upsetting on one hand that my favorite games go into other platforms, but then I can also see it realistically from the other standpoint that, a community-driven game like Grounded, going to other platforms, giving it a bigger user base is probably going to eventually generate more content for a game that I love. So I do have to see it from that standpoint as well. Also, Sea of Thieves, I really love that game as well. Not as much as Grounded, but it will only, because they're community-driven games, it will improve the games overall at the end of the day. As far as Hi-Fi Rush is a big head scratcher for me. And I say this, I know that commercially it wasn't as successful as it probably deserved to be, but I just think that Hi-Fi Rush had a potential to be a real franchise face of the Xbox brand.
Brand
and
ambassador.
I don't think, it could have been a real mascot for the brand, Chai and 808 and things like that. But what disappoints me is that Xbox and Microsoft just did not even give it a chance to become what it could have been. And I say this, it could have been such a big boost as a face for the brand, especially in Eastern markets where they really do need to grow, where they are really struggling. It was the first Japanese Xbox exclusive and one of their first new IPs to release in years that's been so critically acclaimed. And it just released almost perfectly. They didn't give it the chance to become this huge franchise that it could have been. And I think that, the returns that you're going to get by putting it on other platforms are really minuscule compared to what it could be by keeping it exclusive to the platform and really growing it into something that it potentially could be in the East. So that one for me is super disappointing. And I see very little benefit of Xbox sharing that game. And what was the fourth game? Pentiment. I'm happy for that game. It's another critically acclaimed game that, didn't have a big sort of following or it's reached its peak, like Phil said, on Xbox. I think that's good for Obsidian to have that game played by more players. But yeah, my line as a fan and as a gamer, it's already been crossed, but they did allay the fears of the greater community by more or less, the big questions for me were around Game Pass. Was it going to stay? Was ABK Games going to release on Game Pass day one? They confirmed that, which means Call of Duty is going to be there. And they confirmed, it was very interesting when Sarah Bond said that the next Xbox is going to be the biggest technical leap of any console generation. And I find that really hard to believe, but it is exciting for me to hear that for someone who, is willing to pay for better hardware, no matter how much it kind of costs. It sounds like that, they're going to have to, follow through with that promise now. Well, I'm expecting them to lead the generation as far as the power narrative is concerned again. So yeah, generally speaking, yes, it did allay most of the fears of the community. But if anybody thinks that Starfield and Halo and Gears and things like that are no chance of going to other platforms, I think you're just lying to yourself at this point. I don't want to see that. But I think by the time those games do go to other platforms will be doing the same thing by that point. I think you won't see Gears of War go to PlayStation before you see God of War and Kratos on an Xbox platform. So it's going to happen. Gaming's changing quicker than we like to admit, and it's beyond a lot of us old heads how quickly it's changing, and it's upsetting for a lot of people. But we've got to move with the times. And look, just get on Game Pass and play games, man. We're eating good this year on Xbox.
Oh yeah, definitely, and we're not just eating third-party stuff either. Just want to throw that out there. No. Umbra, where are you at with the podcast? Do you think they came out, they did what they needed to do, or you think they should have done more? And where's your line? Where you at?
Hold the line. Love isn't always on time. I'm sorry. Listen.
Mute.
Let's go,
Listen,
Umbra.
I feel like they did a few things that okay, how do I put this? One, I feel like we didn't need to wait an entire week for them to tell us that. I feel like we got more out of their tweets after the fact from Xbox official account than we kind of got here, and more from Tom Warren interview with Phil than we did here. So I kind of felt like it was a wash, honestly. We did get the 4 games that, that we were told about going over. Originally, we thought it was 3, of course. Then we found out it was 4. And Tom Warren kind of spoiled that before we even saw the podcast. So, again, it felt like, what was the use of the podcast or having us wait an entire week all the way and then move it further from Monday to Thursday? It just kind of felt like, why are you doing that? Now, I had a problem with them not announcing which games they were, although at this point we know what they are. And I get Phil wanting to give the devs their time, whatever, to announce it themselves. And somebody enlightened me. They said, well, it could be because of Nintendo. I was like, okay, that makes sense. They want to have that at their third-party direct, which was allegedly supposed to have been yesterday. So I get that. That makes sense. Much like you guys, my line was Hi-Fi Rush. I loved Hi-Fi Rush, by the way. But it felt like, and I said this on here before, this is a brand new IP. It's a brand new IP, well-received, so decently, not crazy, but it's so decently on Steam and Xbox. And it's like, okay, that's enough. To the other platforms you go. It just kind of felt like you didn't really give it a chance to do much. And I'm sure the numbers dropped off, of course, by this point. But this is my worry. Then, of course, Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves makes the most sense to me. Any type of, I guess, gas title. Any gas title makes sense. But then how far does that go? Because I'll be damned if they just put Halo over there, right? So I don't know. It's a tough pill to swallow, because then somebody could argue, well, Halo will bring more people to the ecosystem to play. You'll have a bigger, robust, more bigger lobby of people to play with and cross-play and all of that. And as fun as it would be to teabag some Hoove brothers, I don't know if I would want that over there. It just kind of feels like it's, you have some things that are sacrosanct. You know what I mean? And it feels like I'm teabagging the hell out of them. I hope their names say like something like Pony Master. I'm like, oh, you about to get teabagged to oblivion.
Pony
Oh yeah,
9,000.
You remember they called it.
They're just called Nay.
They're right, Nay. I'm like, yay! Take these tea bags.
Prerequisite for any live service game going to PlayStation should be that their names have to be horse related, so we know.
Right. My Little Pony 23. So that's kind of a problem, right? My line would be the bigger tent poles. Halo's a tent pole. Forza's a tent pole. Gears is a tent pole. When you kind of cross that line, I don't think there's any going back. If you put any of those over there for me, I think that tells us more or less that the platform as we know it or knew it is over at that point. Not to say that they'll stop. And much like you all, I'm 10 toes down too. None of us are leaving. But it tells us there's major change. I think at that point I would probably go full PC, because it's like, what's the use of me just keep having an Xbox and I could just get the super high-end PC and play everything?
What happens though if we see this from PlayStation as well though?
Then that's even
like years down the line. Let's say years down the line, we see a situation where PlayStation is doing similar, where they're putting some of their flagship games across.
I think they will. I think they will. Yeah, I absolutely think they will. But like, this is the thing. Like, before they hit Xbox, they'll likely hit PC day and date, right? Even more reason for me to get PC first.
That's why I'm where I am.
Yeah.
I'm playing Death Stranding on one hand and then Gears of War on the other hand, all on the same system. Like,
Yeah. So my thing is like, my line again will be the tent poles, because when you cross the line of tent poles, there is no going back. The little smaller games like the Sea of Thieves, which I don't want to call small because it's got a ton of people that play it, and decent sales at that. But what I mean by that, it's not a tent pole of Xbox. So you got something like that. You got the Hi-Fi Rush, which is niche. Pentiment, I don't know why Pentiment is even being talked about to be over there. I hope they just cancel that because that's not going to do anything. And there lies the rub for me too. Bringing Hi-Fi Rush, bringing Sea of Thieves, maybe Sea of Thieves. Okay, I'm not going to write that off. But let's say Hi-Fi Rush, Pentiment, and I can see Grounded doing okay too, depending on where you put it. Right? I can see that doing well on Nintendo.
It will.
I can see Hi-Fi Rush doing okay on Nintendo. But are they going to do enough that it's like, yeah, this needed to be brought to another platform? I don't think they will.
Well,
I can
no.
see
But do
Grounded,
you-
and
but-
I can see.
but
Go ahead.
but if you don't want your if you don't want your other games going to another platform, do you want them to do well? I'm just playing devil's advocate here, right? Like,
I want
like,
it's
if
a
this
tough
is
one,
a
right?
test,
It's a double-edged sword.
and
because
you
I
don't
want them
want
to do well.
you know what I'm saying,
That's-
right?
Yeah,
This is the
it's
test,
a
though,
double-edged sword because I want them to do well because they are Xbox properties, and I do love those games. I did love Grounded. I do love Hi-Fi Rush. I haven't really put much time into Sea of Thieves after initially playing it when it was bare bones, but I still want it to do well, you know. But my thing is, it's like, yeah, I want it to do well over there, but then if that leads to them saying, okay, this was a success, let's bring Halo over, then it's like, okay, you know, like, damn it. Or as you would say, sham it.
What if it's only the multiplayer, though?
Right?
You know what I'm saying? What if it's just the multiplayer for Halo?
I thought about that, and I think that makes the most sense. I don't know if they can. That
Nope,
to me,
I don't want them touching it.
don't do
No.
I feel like if I was forced into a compromise, I would say okay, multiplayer, but don't you dare touch the single player, right? I think that's what they angle for, and that's why they made it free to play. So it seems like they kind of set this up for a while back, which is problematic for me because they've been playing us like a fiddle all along. But I don't know. Again, to me, it's the tentpole games. If you kind of bring them over, I think that's where a lot of us will have major issues. And if people are not listening and paying attention, they're going to bring some more games over. Don't think it's stopping at 4 games. It's not. The way Phil was interviewed by Tom Warren, he alluded to that very clearly. I think everybody had best prepare themselves for more than 4 games, especially if these do well. And again, I want to write them off like they're not going to do that well. But I thought the same for Minecraft. And look at Minecraft. So
Yeah,
we don't know.
That might be the deciding factor completely. Like if these 4 say they don't do well, right? Say the numbers say, hey, this wasn't worth it. Then I don't know if they're going to have the want to dip further games into that particular pond. So this to me is the test. This is them trying to figure out, okay,
definitely.
how viable are our games on, especially these games as a service games. How viable can they perform on the PlayStation side, and then that will let them know if they can push some more over there as time goes on.
Exactly. And Phil said as much.
Yeah.
He said we're putting these games there, and we're going to be learning. It's going to be.
It was the
It's a test.
first thing.
It's definitely a test, and it's like Holly said. Me and her were communicating as it happened, and one of the things Phil said was that he believes exclusives are going to become less of a focus for the game industry in the next few years. What does that tell you? You know what I mean? He's telling us without
And
saying
that's
what it
everyone.
is.
That wasn't just Xbox.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not just
The,
Xbox.
sure.
That's everyone.
the specific quote during that, and I paid attention to that, was he said that exclusives are going to be less and less whenever you're on one piece of hardware. He was specifically talking about PlayStation and Nintendo, right? And then he pressed on about like all the other platforms, because when he said there'll be fewer and fewer exclusives that are tied to one piece of hardware, not one platform, one piece of hardware, right?
Yeah.
Like Xbox isn't one piece of hardware anymore. It's 3 pieces pretty much, or whatever.
Well,
ROGs and it's
He
all
could have
kinds
been
of
talking.
different hardware.
He could have been talking about just the Xbox itself.
That's because
though, saying that, hey,
PlayStation
we're
isn't
going to be
making
on
any games.
PC and mobile, and that could have been his aim. But
Yeah.
either way, I think it speaks to all sides of them, right? PlayStation is
Yeah.
definitely going to be going day and date, which I'm happy for that to happen.
Yeah,
because-
they have to.
yeah.
These budgets for these games are
Mhm.
crazy. You know what I mean? Like when
Absolutely.
you have Spider-Man with the leaks, it's 300 million plus to make the game. Disney getting
Crazy.
a cut, and you're limiting that to one platform, and only 5 to 10% of your install base is purchasing it. Like you're doomed. You're gonna have to
Yeah.
start you're gonna have to either start trimming down and making smaller games, which all their games are small as hell anyway. So I don't know why I'd buy a 6-hour Spider-Man for $100, or they're gonna have to raise the price. You
They
know what I
are
mean?
going to
Like,
raise the price for sure. I
you know
bet.
what I mean? And then that's not consumer friendly at all, right? So the
Well, that's
ultimate
Sony for you.
move, yeah,
Sony isn't consumer friendly
100%.
anyway.
Which is why I don't buy any third-party stuff on their platform at all, or any other
Same.
hardware. Yeah, I'll play the exclusives that I want to play on there, but like other than that shit collects dust. But yeah, man, all of them are going to have to start moving, like especially as technology grows and grows. You know what I mean? Like PCs.
Wait,
get
hang on a
better.
minute. Did you just say you play on PlayStation?
Yeah, I have a PlayStation.
Damn.
Cast him out, everyone. Cast him out.
Am I not allowed to play Ghost of Tsushima?
You
You're allowed
are
to play whatever you want, brother.
Listen, I have a PlayStation 5 too, but don't tell anybody. Don't you tell anybody I said that.
What's this footage running on that we're watching right now?
I played on the PC. No, I didn't. That's a lie.
Okay. I thought.
Yeah. He lied to you. It was PlayStation.
Yeah, he did lie to me, didn't he? See?
Yeah, this bot owns a PlayStation. That's fine. You know, it don't get much play because I usually play on Xbox or PC, but that's about it.
Yeah.
No, we're in the same boat. I barely touched the PlayStation.
Yeah, mine
I
just
sold
gathers
mine,
dust and looks
collecting
ugly.
dust, so I sold it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking about this last night, just off sidebar. But I was thinking about this. It's like, there's really nothing over there at the moment, right? I mean, there's Helldivers, and that's cool. It's a good. But before that, there wasn't a whole lot. Like I finished Spider-Man. It took me probably 20 hours, 25 hours, and then I was done with it. And then so you're getting 1 or 2 of those a year, and not even getting any this year or first
you're
half
getting
of next
Final
year.
Fantasy. And then after that, nothing until April 2025.
Like that's
pretty much.
That's
Yeah.
nuts.
I think last year or maybe it's the year before, I think they shot their pause. They basically emptied the clip kind of early, right? So now they're kind of seeing what Xbox had to deal with last year, whereas like they don't got enough for their first party stuff kind of raring to go because development time has increased. So like when they came out initially, it was kind of like, oh yeah, we got this, and then Xbox had that really dry year where it's like, what do you got in the pipeline? Well, now it's their turn, and they're seeing the effects of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as
And then
I would add this last thing is to say that despite that, I don't think anybody should be down in the dumps. I think what we heard, they said exactly what we needed to hear. Again, though, I don't think we needed to wait a week for that. I thought that was stupid. I stick to that. I just don't think we needed to wait a week.
Agreed.
I thought it was stupid for them not to name the games, but then after, again, some more enlightenment about it possibly being tied to Nintendo and such, okay, I get it. Fine, that makes sense. Some of the positives I took away, of course, and I'm guessing we're going to move to that, so I don't want to say too much, but I'll say the 10 major releases coming this year. That definitely perked me up. I'll say that. So that was a positive. There's others. I'll let you get to those and the points you're going to come up with next. So the topics rather than this next. But again, the line for me are the major tentpole releases. They bring them over. It's like, okay, I'm just going to PC at that point. Still Xbox. Still going to play my Xbox games through it. You know, I'm never leaving the ecosystem of the community, but I'll just move to the strongest hardware at that time and play everything.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing I've been saying, or I was saying this entire week as well. And Sarah Bond said that. We'll move to that in a minute. I'll jump to Blue, but she talked about the hardware being the biggest leap. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But Blue, where's your line? Do you think they did what they needed to do? Umbra, I completely agree with you. I think a week was too long, and I was one of the people saying this whole last couple of weeks, like, give them time. They're going to put this stuff together, but you didn't need a week for that. It's bullshit. Blue, where are you at? What do you think?
I mean, anything I think I could say has already been said. There is no line once you start doing this. I'm not critiquing it as a negative or a positive. I'm just saying it's removed, it's erased, right? So it sounds, that sounds sad or emotional or whatever for certain people, but at the end of the day, everybody is moving to a system where exclusives become a thing of the past. And Phil said that. I agree, because we are seeing the price of games and game creation just being way too expensive. We saw Tom Henderson say he was projecting that the next generation of consoles games are going to cost $100. And people are going to buy less and less, right? So you're going to need to find more people. And how do you do that? You open everything up, or you make smaller games, and then you're not going to pay $100 for those. So it is a bit of an issue that I think Xbox is trying to project out for the long haul. And honestly, to me, the people don't probably like it, but the absolute perfect thing is both Sony and Xbox stop being hardware creators and they become publishers on mini machines that are like a PC that can sit under your TV, just like the Xbox does now, but it has a PlayStation portal, it has an Xbox portal, and it has Steam, and it has Epic Games, and it has GOG, whatever it is that you use to access your games. It's got all of them there. And, you pay for your content from these in different ways, different methods, whether it's through Game Pass, whether it's through just outright purchasing the game, whatever it is that market can bear. But I mean, in reality, that's how everybody gets everywhere, and you still win, right? Because then it just becomes about the games, and let, Asus or Dell or HP or whoever, right, make those little mini PCs because they make hardware on a massive scale. So the components and everything are a lot cheaper for all of them to, sort of pick up and move along with and build these little machines. That would be the perfect future for me.
Talking about third-party consoles.
Yeah, third-party consoles entirely, and then just let Xbox focus on these million studios that they have now, and let Sony deal with, what they've got, and they figure out a way to market why you should buy it from one versus the other. Or you still have exclusive games that are Sony branded. You still have exclusive games that are Xbox branded. You have to get them from those companies, but they're all playable on the same machine.
Yeah. And
I think we are going that way. It's just how we get there.
I agree. I think that's sort of the end game. But, I sort of worry about what happens to the console war then, because, what are you going to have, like Dell versus Asus and Alienware versus AMD? I don't know. How are we going to do this? Like, we're just going to have...
Does Dell even challenge anybody anymore? I don't think Dell does.
It'll be the publisher wars, and I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's still gonna. Yeah, right.
I heard the OS wars have started. I've been told.
Yeah.
I'm sharpening my axe.
It becomes Apple versus Windows all over again, kind of thing. Right.
Exactly.
Look, we got some super chats. We got to get to Alvin. With a $5 super chat, he says, even Colin Moriarty is now all for PlayStation games going to PC day one, even single player.
That.
It's a new day. The old competition is no more. Great show. Well, Alvin, I did say earlier in the week, console wars are over, just not the way you think. And that is true. It's Shane Bailey with a $10 super chat. Love Shane. Shane just recently left Game on Cancer. I don't know what Shane's up to now, what his next thing is, but it is in gaming. I know that. But fantastic, man. Did a lot of great work for Game on Cancer, a great charity organization that helps to fund cancer research. So if you ever get a chance to donate to someone streaming for Game on Cancer, please do that. And give a shout out to Shane. He's a legend. He's been around the industry for a very long time. He used to work for Ubisoft and has worked with other publishers. He's a good friend of
Shout out Shane. Yep.
He's a good friend.
Had him on yesterday. Great dude.
He is a great dude, man. He said with a $10 super chat, he said they're slowly wading us deeper and deeper into the multi-platform waters and no game franchises off the table. Will timed exclusivity be enough to maintain a console ecosystem? We're about to find out. I feel like that's the beginning of a movie. Slowly wading us deeper and deeper into the multi-platform war. That's good. I hope you're going in a world. I hope you're moving into storytelling in a game publishing house because there's some good writing. Good writing. John Wolf with the $5 super chat.
In a world where Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
John Wolf with the $5 super chat. He says, "Great show, guys and gal. Xbox couldn't outsell Switch or PS5 this holiday with the Series S at $139. Marketing Game Pass is definitely a deficiency, and yes, I believe that would close the gap, John. I think the marketing is the gap that they need to close, and it is a gaping hole." Pause. Jay Rembrandt with the $5 super chat. He says, "I've been telling ponies, when the 4 games come out, buy the hell out of them just to see what Microsoft does." Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? You guys are talking about that a little bit earlier. My son was having an absolute tantrum, so I had to go deal with that. I just told him that there's Xbox games going to PlayStation, so he lost it. He's only 3. You know, he doesn't understand. So that's a good point, right? Like, if these games don't see an uptick, they don't get a good attach rate, what does Xbox do? Well, that didn't work, so we stopped doing that and we focus on exclusives. My hope is that no PlayStation gamers buy these games and they just flop hard, and then Microsoft stops this stupid stuff and comes home. And it does. You do feel a little bit like I guess what Garuda was saying, like the consoles aren't the focus. You feel like they're not focusing on the customers they have; they're focusing on the next customer, and you do have to do that. Like, sure, you have to attract people into the brand, but you also have to look after the people that you have, because it's not just about getting new customers, it's about retaining the ones that you have too. So it's a bit of a line for them to walk. Be interesting to see how it comes out. Game Pass, though, is at 34 million subs. We finally got some information about it. I like how she was cagey about how she said that. It's crazy to see that it's gone to 34 million. I did some numbers earlier in the week, and everyone tells me that my math, well, not everyone, all the PlayStation guys are telling me that my math is not mathing. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what you can sort of say about that, but I feel like they maybe didn't complete school, or they don't understand basic math, or what the issue is. But it's sitting, if you look at Game Pass with all the lower tiers and you just calculate that, it's a real hard thing to calculate, because you've got different tiers, you've got different countries that have different prices, right? So if you hit it, I hit it at $10 per month over the 12 months, and then the subscribers are sitting around they're making about 4.8 billion. If you do it at the higher tier, which is probably more accurate, like a lot of people will say it's not, but it probably is, because they charge more for Game Pass in other countries. So bit of a mixed bag. But if you hit it about 15, it's about $6.2 billion a year. And then Phil Spencer himself, he said that's around about 10 to 15% of our business. So they're sitting at around about, for their business in gaming, and this is based on, I would say, the 2023 that they had, which doesn't really include ABK. They're sitting at around about $17 billion a year for their entire business, which is not far behind Sony's last reported revenue, which was 20 bill. So they are definitely nipping at the heels in revenue, but also it's not about revenue. And a lot of people wanted to tell me that, and I get that, but I don't have the numbers. I don't have their P&Ls to have a look at their profit and loss and what the business costs to keep running. But we did see in 2023 that they were a little bit ahead of PlayStation. I feel like PlayStation has been spending more, and Xbox has been a little bit more thrifty with their monies. It's not really a massive topic, I think, that we could all go around the room about, unless someone wants to add something about it. It's just it's good to see that Game Pass is healthy. What I found really interesting, you got guys like Broken Games HD out there, and you got Colin Moriarty out there saying that Game Pass has killed Xbox, it's destroyed, and that's why they go on third party, blah, 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 blah. And what we see now is that's not the case. They talk about the math not mathing, but I don't know, fucking guys. Anyway, does anyone else want to add?
I want to add one thing. With this Game Pass situation, the ABK games that are coming finally, Diablo 4 starting March 28th, I believe, that's not going to the lower tier. So the core Game Pass people, you're not getting that. You might want to upgrade by that time when it happens, just to let you know. It's cool to see that they've hit 34, because we had no hard numbers since of 22, maybe. So It's been a while. Yeah. So I'm happy with that, to hear that they have grown. I know that people have talked about them being stagnant, so that is good to know. But it's only so far they can go with this on console. I feel like this is partly why they're trying to expand so much. So I still wonder if the logical conclusion at the end of the day is going to be them trying to get, Game Pass on those other platforms. That's my wonder, because they still had a goal for 100 million by 2030, but that's not going to happen. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, look, I want to jump to the next topic, and I don't think I shouted out the show. So before I do jump to the next topic, guys, please share this out. Hit the like button. If you're new, consider subscribing. We go live every Friday at 7 p.m. EST. We're normally on camera, but this week I just don't look so pretty, so we didn't. But moving on to the next topic. Well, I wanted to talk about this. It's not the next topic, but I want to talk about hardware, because they mentioned the hardware in the podcast, right? And what Sarah said was it's going to be the biggest generational leap we've ever seen. We've heard Xbox talk about their hardware in hyperbolic terms before. So this, I guess for me, what I want to see, and I want to know what you guys want to see. And you guys in the chat, tell me what I want to know what you guys want to see out of the next Xbox hardware. This is what I want to see. And I don't want to see any more of these tools. There's no more tool bullshit, right? What I want to see is I want to see raw overhead, right? Your third place, what you need to give developers is raw overhead. And I want to see, what I want to see from the next console is I want most games, not all, but most games to at least be able to lock 120 FPS. That would be great. Running at 1440p, absolutely. Or locking 60, and they should be able to do this with that sort of overhead, locking 60, running at 4K with path tracing. I want to see that. This is a discussion we've had many times on the show, and a lot of people are talking about saying that you can't make a big enough graphical leap to show that to the casuals to bring them over. I think with ray tracing, path tracing, I think you can. I'm not talking about like, oh, these shadows are path traced, how exciting. I'm talking about full ray tracing, right? Where you've got reflections all over the screen. The thing looks absolutely stunning. I think if you can do that, demonstrate that, properly promise that you're going to be able to deliver that, then I think, I'm a lock anyway. I'm buying this thing. Doesn't matter what it does. If it runs like an extra 1 FPS, I'll probably buy it. But this is what I would like to see out of the hardware. So Holly, I'm going to go to you first this time. We'll go bottom up. It's the way I like to do it. Pause.
Oh.
But we're going to go bottom up. What do you want to see from the hardware?
All right, man, calm down.
Holy.
What? What's
in the
the
chat.
question?
What do you want to see?
What's
What do you
the
want to? She heard bottom and stopped.
Holly got confused. She's like, bottom what? What are we talking about?
Man, you just made a
What
coal
are we
miner blush.
saying?
What do you want to see from the hardware? What do you want out of it? Like the next generational leap that Sarah's talking about, the biggest generational leap. Oh, one more thing I'll add to that before I go. I'll say there's a rumor about Surface taking over development of the Xbox console. I can 110% tell you that is not true. That is not true. They are working on some stuff with the Xbox console. That is happening, but they have not taken over development of the Xbox console. So anyone saying that shit, that's not true. What do you want to see in the console, Holly?
Of course, you'd ask me the technical question, and I'm not a technical person. I want to see all of the things. Check. Next person. No, I mean, obviously, what we're promised with this, generation, we really haven't quite seen that come through, right? I'm not savvy enough with fancy PC stuff and all that to know if it's a Series S thing. I know, Riskit, you have very deep intellectual conversations with Dante about the S and calling it a potato. And I don't know. I like my S. I like my X. But I just want hardware that isn't the size of a PS5, please. That's really my first criteria. And then make it nicer, prettier than what we have. And I just got a PC with a 4080, so I am starting to see, the higher frames and all of the other things that we were sort of promised and what I hear PC people talk about. And it is beautiful, but I would like to just sit on my couch and see it on my TV.
Fucking A.
I do that though. I do that.
But
That's how
yeah,
my
but no
PC
one
is
wants
set
that.
up.
No one wants that ugly monstrosity that you call a PC, like sitting next to their TV.
You
But
think that's more ugly than a PlayStation 5?
no,
Oh, man.
no, it's still
It's
a
a fair
monstrosity
point.
though.
Shots fired.
Fair point. Yeah.
I will add just with Kay Asante, and I'm putting a name on the clip, not just a bullet here. Me and Kay got to have a conversation because he said some stuff on Xbox Era that I disagree with, and we're going to have that conversation in the background. Hopefully this week or next week, I'll catch up with him. We'll talk about the Series S, and
Cuss him out. Cuss him out,
what-
Kay. Cuss him out.
We'll talk about what the first party development cycle has done for the Series S. Oh, anyway, Umbra, where are you at with the hardware? What do you want? What are you keen to see coming from this hardware?
I think I want what everybody wants: power, unlimited power. When they talked about this great generational leap, that sounded good. That sounded good to me. You know, my eyeballs bugged a little bit. I started, I was like, okay, well, feats don't fail me now. I started acting like I was one of these, back in the day. Anyway, let me stop. So no, I was actually really excited to hear that part, but I feel like they said that before too. Not quite that, but they said it was going to be most powerful console, and we haven't quite seen that. So I guess the proof going to have to be in the pudding, right?
Oh, he's
but
in
it's
the
also
chat.
another. Yeah, and shout out to Kay. I see you in the chat. But my thing is, the proof is going to have to be in the pudding. That, when I heard it though, did stave me off from the whole thought of going to PC. So if they can deliver on that, even better for me. I'll hold off on moving over to the PC even longer. But no, that sounded really good. But what I would want is power. And we heard about the SKU from, shout out to Mag, who mentioned that. And of course, that rumor is out there about the SKUs one being a handheld, one being the main like Series X type component. So with the handheld, I talked about this yesterday too, and I don't know how much it would cost. People disagree with me. Maybe I'm looking at it the wrong way, but I feel like knowing how much the ROG Ally, which I love, I have, and the Lenovo Go hits for like $700 or $800 or whatever. I feel like, can they have something that's that powerful if they're going to make such a generational leap and still have it affordable? Because they have to take a loss on these consoles. So that's my wonder. Of course, it can be less powerful undocked versus when they dock it to, the main thing that's like a GPU, much like you can with a ROG. So you can dock a ROG, or maybe Lenovo, I'm not sure with Lenovo, but you can dock a ROG into a GPU, the 4090, for instance, and you got yourself a 4090 computer. Now, it's expensive, of course, to get that dock, but that therein, you still can't do that. So I'm wondering how that'll play out. Kay can answer this much better than any of us. I can tell you that right now. Mm-hmm. But I would like for them to,
right.
If that
doesn't make him right.
I would like.
He can answer pretty words. Doesn't make him right. Anyway, just say, yeah.
Well, listen, he's likely more right than I'm wrong. So I'll say this: I would like for that to be true if that is with the handheld. I hope it's powerful. That's one. Two, everybody hears about this OS situation and the Steam integration. Again, another thing that would stave me off from moving to PC is if you actually do bring Steam integration, something that has been talked about for decades, by the way, to Xbox. And people were like, that can't happen. I no longer listen to people who say that what can't happen. Once I saw Microsoft acquire ABK, I don't listen to anybody anymore. You can't do this. I don't listen to you, because we've seen too much that can happen when anybody put enough money up to do it. So, I feel like a Steam integration would absolutely, I think, work well for all of us. So that's my two things: power, Steam integration.
I don't see that. Just quickly, let's have that. I don't see that happening. I don't see the benefit to Steam to put their OS or their making a deal with Xbox's handheld. If Xbox brings a handheld,
money.
They're in direct competition, right?
Why
That
wouldn't
store
it?
can be accessed through the Xbox. If Steam's store could be accessed, but then that means Microsoft is saying, "I'm conceding you not buying the game through our store," and that's where the conflict. And I don't
But
see
they
that.
already
great.
They already do that though with the Rogue Ally. You can buy games on Steam through the Rogue Ally, and there's the
Right,
Steam
that's
Decks.
not Microsoft's product, though. Is what I'm saying.
I don't feel
If
like
you-
it's, but it's on Windows. It's
Yeah,
That's
but
true.
I mean,
it's
and we know that Microsoft directly was part of the integration and the development of that hardware. Like they sat on the couch with with Asus when they put all of that together, right? They were on the announcement sitting there talking about how they helped them build this machine.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah.
And I kind of treat it similar to what Apple is doing and how they're kind of being hard asses about letting Xbox basically have an app and bypassing their ability to kind of monetize, giving access directly from your hardware, your particular product, different for like a third party product, but your particular product where you're saying, here's an Xbox, and I will give you access to then purchase games from the Steam store. Well, I mean, they both would have to come to an agreement as to splitting profits on that for that to be beneficial, because anyone who has a big library in Steam are most likely, if they're playing on their console, they're still going to purchase through the Steam store because that's where most of their games are. So Xbox would have to have some type of agreement where they're like, we're splitting some type of revenue on that for Xbox to say, okay, I'm cool if you bypassing buying it directly from us.
I could see that
Mhm.
happening, but I think they would come to that compromise. For one,
Yeah.
Gabe has shown to be pretty amicable with Xbox, as we've seen. He's kind of like, whatever, they're going to get their money one way or another. So I feel like they could do that and come out with some type of percentage breakdown when it comes to that. Holly made a great point to me one time when I mentioned that to her. She was like, but that kind of undercuts the Xbox business. If you're buying the games there, why would I buy it from Xbox marketplace? And she's right. But I feel like there is some way to work that out. Again, we would need some super intelligent mind like Kay to break this down, Riskit. I don't think any of us are quite capable of this.
I think
Are
if we
we?
get
Anybody?
Ass Man Gold in here, he'll probably tell us what's up because he knows his apparently knows his shit.
He has to finish cleaning his room first.
Hater.
Damn.
2.4 million subs.
And it continues.
Yeah,
Or
people watch
continues.
dumb shit on the
2.4 million germs in that room.
Yeah, I don't want to pick on
Stop
Ass
it.
Man too much. He'll probably come back at me, and we don't need that. That kind of. Yeah, I mean, if you go check out my comments on that video, that is, it got wild. It got so wild, I stopped reading them. But I think Steam would have to have a benefit. Microsoft would have to have a benefit. I think it would be a little bit, so I can see the point of where it sort of handicaps the handheld, right? So if you've got I think there's 3 handhelds out there now with the option to use the Steam, your Steam library. Like, so that does slightly handicap. I think that's the argument for Microsoft integrating Steam in some way. But then again, I agree with you, Dante. Like, they're going to have to somehow monetize that and come to an agreement. And Gabe has been pretty cool. He's been pretty cool with it. So I guess we'll see. I just don't really see it happening. I think that Microsoft is doing this, creating this handheld because they now see Steam as one of their direct competitors. And I think they're gonna take it to them in the next couple of years, and I think you might see that relationship change. I hope you do. I want to see them get more aggressive with everyone. Garuda, what are you thinking about this new hardware? Will it bring you back if it does what I want it to do? If it locks 120 FPS at 1440p, or it gives you 60 4K ray tracing? Are you in? Are you out? Is that what you want? Where are you at? Don't care anymore. You get a PC that's a monstrosity.
All of that resolution and frame rate with path tracing, like you said, like not even my 4080 and not even a 4090 will do path tracing and stuff at 60 FPS on some games, depending on what settings you choose and stuff. Like, I think it's important to point out. Yeah, the tools. Yeah, still waiting for the tools. Yeah. We've all got tools hanging off our heads, waiting for them. But look, that is extremely expensive. Just having now known, tinkered around with all that sort of stuff and being on PC for almost a year now, that is a big ask. Games at max settings, even at 60 FPS, 4K with full path tracing, like it's the heaviest. It's the heaviest sort of feature that you can use in a game at the moment. Even much more heavy than just normal ray tracing. But it is a true, I guess you could say, demonstration of what you could sell as a next gen feature, though, because it changes the way a game looks. It changes. Well, you look at Cyberpunk without path tracing. Yep, looks nice. You look at it you look at it with full path tracing at max settings, you know, I want to say it looks almost like a different game, but it bricks, it slows even a 4090 to a crawl in parts if you turn the settings up. I think us wishing for something like that is out of a console is very much a pipe dream. As much as I would love that, I think we're dreaming, because even these consoles are not. Well, I'll be very surprised if they're even as powerful as a 4070 or 4080, the next generation. So, I mean, I want to see that. But I think it's just too difficult to say hard and fast. I think they're going to lean away from what they said at the start of this generation, like, oh, it's going to be 4K 60 with some games 120, because a blanket statement like that just doesn't really work, because all those facts and figures as far as specs are concerned just depend on the game and depend on the developer and how they utilize the power. I think I don't think that any console manufacturer can come out with those statements anymore. Because developers just don't choose to use them right. And that's why we haven't seen, because like I said earlier, the PlayStation 5 is the lead development platform for a lot of these third-party games. Half of the tools and the stuff inside the Xbox Series X and S are not even being utilized and probably will never be utilized. So we're not seeing the big power difference there. That's probably why Xbox is trying to differentiate themselves and set themselves apart from PlayStation instead of going directly head-to-head this time. I think that the quote-unquote biggest hardware leap of any generation so far that Sarah Bond said, I think it has to be a point of difference, not just on the power spectrum. It has to be something different, whether that is handheld, whether that is Steam integration and UI and all this kind of thing. I'm not sure what that is, but I think in order for Xbox to be more successful on the hardware front, they do need to really separate themselves and differentiate from PlayStation, because going head to head against such an established brand that has the mind share of the fans, it's not working for Xbox. So for me personally, it would be all about power, and not making the console feel like it's outdated after 2 years of having it, which is how I felt, honestly, with my Series X this time around. It had a huge power leap over the last generation of consoles, which were essentially outdated before they even released with the what was them horrible CPUs that they had that were just like potatoes when they released. But yeah, honestly, we were seeing games just go back to 30 FPS and stuff after only sort of 2 years of the Series X being out. I didn't like that. It felt like I felt like they really under-delivered on their promises. And I just think that whatever they do next time, whether it is upgradable hardware or like a modular components within the console, I know that's a big can of worms to open. But like Umbra was saying before, with the ROG Ally having the option of an external GPU, would the next Xboxes have something like that? So you choose what the hardware is, you choose what the power specification is, depending on how big your pockets are. I'm not sure, but they do just need to be different to whatever PlayStation is doing. That's my opinion.
But how do they get that differentiation? I mean, they would get it with handheld, so that'd be interesting to see. But power is going to be where you have your biggest your hope point of difference. That's what I want to see. Give me raw.
They had it this time,
power.
But because their platform is not the lead platform, it gets no love from developers, and the only way to change that is to either stagger your release, which it looks like they're going to stagger the start of the generation, so that there is no PlayStation to become the lead platform because you are the only platform so far in the generation, or having vastly different hardware because they're just not going to get prioritized again by devs, and that's my fear.
Well, having vastly different hardware as a point of difference would make game development for the Xbox harder. So I don't want that kind of point of difference. Don't do that.
Don't just make it a little bit more powerful. Make it, if you're going to be more powerful, you have to be orders of magnitude more powerful.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. Agreed. And I was saying this, where if they went full third party, the only way that ecosystem survives as a console is by having like a ridiculously powerful 4090 type console that just smokes anything PlayStation does that PlayStation wouldn't be willing to do because they wouldn't sell enough units. Whereas Microsoft's probably not constrained by that selling enough units because, you know, as we get told often, they already don't. Dante, what are you looking for in a hardware? Are you excited about what she was saying, the biggest technical leap, as someone was saying in the chat there? She didn't say generational leap, but I would argue it's the same thing. But let's be word for word, verbatim. So, biggest technical leap in gaming. What are you looking for in your next console?
Well, as a fan of the platform, of course, that sounds great. You want to be optimistic, but a lot of that we have to wonder if it's marketing. Of course, her job is to basically get fans hyped and excited for whatever the next best thing that's coming out. Ollie touched on something earlier where she's about the ideal that we're moving slowly towards this space where exclusives are going to become maybe not the main selling point that these companies want to use in order to to make their money and get gamers into their ecosystem. So it begs the question for Xbox to ask is what are we using to get people into the ecosystem and to keep them into the ecosystem? And the things that, at least to me, trigger would be your subscription services and then hardware. Now, you can't put all your eggs in one basket and then completely just rely on your subscription service, because eventually people can basically say, hey, I've been subscribed for too long. You don't have some games that I want to see, and you start losing some subs. Hardware, I think there's always going to be a market for people to want to purchase hardware, be it if it's going to be local hardware, which I'm a big fan of, or people in the mobile space. So to me, that's where I'm interested in is what are you doing for local hardware for somebody like myself who prefers to play on console versus on PC. So my pipe dream is something that I would consider non-compromise. Yeah, a great world would be if we can see 120 hertz or 120 frames per second on 1440p or 60 frames at 4K. That would be a pipe dream. Probably wildly inexpensive, and I'll never see that. Realistically, I don't think it's too much for us to ask for a machine that definitively does 60 frames per second, and we don't see any more. We're like 30 FPS games are going to be to the wayside, right? Because I think we were expecting that for this generation, that we would see more games being 60 as a standard, especially for big games. We're hoping that for Starfield and a few other games, and then we've seen that the 30 FPS isn't going anywhere anytime soon with some of the games that we've seen released. So I would like to see that the next one makes it where there'll be one game every once in a blue moon that for some reason has to be targeted at 30 FPS, but for the most part, 60 would be the standard. That's what I would like to see in terms of realistic. I don't want to see parity anymore, man. To be quite honest, I don't care about parity. I want to see a situation where we're like, yeah, the PlayStation and Xbox are pretty much performing the same way in this regard. Like your machine, if you're saying I need to get people into the ecosystem to want to basically purchase an Xbox, if you're going to make hardware still focus, then you need to have a machine that's going to be head and shoulders above what the competition is putting out, where it's tangible too, where we can tell it, where we can get that sense of it, or there's not going to be like, PS1, this particular one for that third-party game. Xbox got that one because it was running at a higher fidelity, but and plus hitting whatever the FPS was. Like I want it to be like, oh man, this thing is noticeably handling what's being thrown at it, and the competition is not doing so, but that's not what their target market is. Like Switch has accepted what they are, and maybe that will change with whatever their new versions, their new machine that's coming out. But for the most part, they're not trying to go after the high performance market. So I want it where if Xbox is saying, hey, we got to find ways where if we're going to put games, like if some of our games start to become the norm, where more games are going to the other platforms, well, hardware is going to be our differentiator. That's where we're going to basically give people a reason to come into the Xbox ecosystem. So to me, those are some things that I would like to see. I want, like previous members have said on the panel, I want something that's a power machine that's kind of non-compromised or as close as possible. I mentioned last week I was okay with playing premium for something like that. But yeah, that's what I want to see. I want to see something that takes no prisoners.
How much would you pay? I mean, I said it last week as well. I mean, we sat at that table. I think all three of us had our hands up paying $1,000 for a console when J-Ron asked if we would, right? But how much would you pay for that console? Would you pay $1,500?
$1,500 Australian, I would pay.
American.
Yeah, I mean, like me, I'm okay. I'm okay with it. I would pay I'm okay with paying premium for a premium device if they can get away with it. Someone mentioned something in the chat that I saw, which has been the thing that I've heard also from games that we felt should have performed better on the Series X versus the PS5, which is forced parity, and that is a concern, right? But I think if again, pipe dream. But if they had this premium console, which I would pay over $1,000 to get if it was comparable to what I can get from a PC, right? I'm okay with doing that. If you had that and you have to force the issue where, hey, this game has to run and hit these PC level type performance metrics, I'm okay with forking up, $1,000, $1,500 for it. That's cool with me because I feel like I'm getting my money's worth. I'm just not the person who wants to drag my machine out to the living room, man. You know what I'm saying? In my living room, like I got a 77-inch LG G2, and I bought that specifically for my enjoyment of movies and enjoyment of gaming. I don't want to drag my tower out from my bedroom and to go do that. That's not something that interests me. If I had a console that fits nice underneath my entertainment system that can give me somewhere close to that, that's the market. I'm the customer who wants to purchase that. So if you tell me, it's a $800, $1,000, it's probably never going to happen. But yeah, that's my pipe dream.
Yeah. Well, I want it. I'll pay like Australian. I'll pay $2,500 for a console that does what I want it to do. If it does what I want it to do, then I'm going to be happy with my purchase. If you sell me a potato that can't do, I'm not saying the Series S is a potato. K, stay out of the chat. I know you're about to say something. But if you sell me a potato that can't do what you promised me it could do, well, then I'm not going to be happy with my purchase. So for me, it needs to do what they say it's going to do and do that. Viking, where are you at? What do you want to see from your hardware? What do you think they did wrong this generation? What would you like to see them do that they differently with this SKU?
Yeah, I'm up of the mind of most people to when it comes to doing two SKUs, one handheld and one powerful console, right? With a staggered release, because they all know that we're probably going to double dip on that. You know what I mean? Also, I would like for them to kick. I love AMD. Like that's what I use for my PC. But kick AMD. Try to work something out with NVIDIA. And the reason why I say that is both NVIDIA and Microsoft have been investing in AI heavily, right? When it comes to using AI for upscaling and processing, like that would be the way to go so that you can get all the performance that you want out of your console while keeping the cost low, if that makes sense. And then the second part to that is when it comes to the handheld, they already do it for the Xbox. When it comes to the handheld and when it comes to the PC for that generation, I do want some sort of Xbox OS to where all my third-party games, just like your Steam Deck and your Steam library on PC, like they travel with me. Right now, when I go to the Xbox app, usually it's only the Play Anywhere titles, and those are mostly like Game Pass and like select few other titles. But there's no way that I can, not that I know of anyway, so correct me if I'm wrong, if I purchase Suicide Squad and I'm playing that on my Xbox, there's no way for me to switch to my PC and play it. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and same thing with like Diablo and Call of Duty. Like there was no way for me to purchase something on my Xbox. And even though this is Microsoft and it's PC, like there's no way for me. And that might be a licensing thing, but I want them to figure that out. Right. So now I can really play anywhere.
Yeah, well, across their across their first party they do that. They do cross
the first party. Yes.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing to me, you guys want these developers to optimize, or the third-party developers to optimize more for like the more powerful console, right? Because if Xbox was the market leader, that's what they would be doing. We're seeing it already with some of these newer titles with mesh shaders and stuff that are outperforming the PS5 anyway right now when it comes to frame dips and all that stuff, right? But the biggest thing, if they do what we think they're going to do, and then leapfrog Sony, like push out ahead of them for their console. Listen, here's my idea, and y'all tell me if I'm stupid as hell or not, okay? They would be the only next-gen console, right? Releasing that holiday season. What else comes out during the holiday season? Every holiday season. That's the number one seller usually every year. Call of Duty. the contract that they signed and what kept the regulators at bay was the exact phrasing of for each generational console, they will have parity. If you are out ahead of the competition for your next gen console, you release the only next gen Call of Duty like that year until PlayStation has their PS6, right? That will get most of the knuckleheads or the casuals that play on PlayStation, they would want to play on Xbox because that's where all the bells and whistles are going to be. And the regulators can't do shit because they're going to keep parity on the Gen 9 consoles, which is the Series XS and PlayStation 5 and PS5 Pro. They'll keep parity there. But if you're the only next gen console, you can do whatever you want.
That's right. Yeah.
Mhm.
You have a launch release of Call of Duty that holiday season, Blade. I don't know where ES6 is in development, and like 2 more titles within that launch window. And holy shit, that's when you win.
Exactly. Remember when the 360 launched 12 months or so ahead of the PlayStation 3?
Yes.
Look how that generation turned out for Xbox. So they
And
have
they had
history of
massive-
being. That's right.
Yeah,
They built their install base a lot quicker. And honestly, by the time the PlayStation 3 came out and I got one of those, I wasn't that impressed by it because I'd already seen these visuals. The Xbox 360 was already doing this stuff, yesterday. You know what I mean? So they've got history with being successful in launching a generation earlier than Sony. So I think they do it again.
Yeah. So I think more than power, what will sell people are the features, and they have to sell those features with Xbox, right? Like not only with this handheld or with like I can play wherever I want to. I can take this handheld that I purchased it's not Windows. Like people are afraid, like there's a lot of people on PC, right? But there's a lot of people that are console only because they just want to press a button and play, right? So if you have a console, I mean a handheld similar to the Switch where I can just turn that thing on and start playing my games, like that will sell like crazy, especially like I'm speaking of the casual fan base because there's 70% of gamers that only play 2 games a year, which is your Madden, 2K, Fortnite, Call of Duty, like those every year top 6 games. You know what I mean? Knowing that they can take that handheld and go to work and play FIFA on their lunch break or, go wherever with it. Plus, whenever they get home, they get a true like experience with the same game, same save.
Well, I mean,
on a console.
Let me add to your point, and then I fly in and fly out, right? And I have a Series S, right, that I take with me everywhere, and it's small and it's compact, but it's still painful. If I had a handheld that I could dock at work or a handheld that I take to work and then dock at home, man, I'm in all the way.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's my thinking. I don't think it's about. I honestly don't think that it's about advertising that you are the most powerful console, right? Because Nintendo doesn't do that. They got really good IPs. It's about the games that you launch being first, right, and showing what your hardware can do versus the competition. Like if you have a PlayStation, you're landlocked. Like you are just playing on that. You have the Portal, but you can't go to a coffee shop and play with it. You know what I mean? Like you have to differentiate yourself in that. And I think that's what they're going to do. Yeah. And I mean, if they do make it Steam accessible and you can access your Steam library, I think that's a good move for them. I mean, I think if they could even take the hit insofar as whatever deals that they sort of make to sell their handheld, that also could bring people into PlayStation would be so pissed because they're about to do the day and date shit. Like that's inevitable, right? Mm-hmm. And all that's probably going to come to Steam because building a good client on Windows is hard. You know what I mean? People just like or prefer Steam. And if on my Xbox handheld, I'll be able to have both Xbox exclusive games, Game Pass, and all PlayStation games day one through the Steam OS, that would be nuts. Damn, PlayStation just went third party.
Yeah, look, I mean, I did want to get into that as well, but so we're sort of running out of time, so I do got to wrap it. But that is a thing that's happening with PlayStation. I think I just saw not too long ago that Helldivers beat Halo Infinite's all-time concurrent players, or all-time players, sorry, on Steam. So, like, I think PlayStation, this is the perfect game. And I said this when this game launched as well. If this game launches and it was already doing well and it gets like ridiculous and does like crazy numbers, PlayStation's going to start to look at this not with a side eye, but go in with both feet and go, why aren't we doing this? Why haven't we done this with our exclusive? We're losing money. We're throwing money away for the sake of exclusivity on their console. And again, many people have said, if you're on a PC, you're not coming to PlayStation. You're just going to wait. Like the PC players like Arsman Gold, they're not going to buy a PlayStation just to play that exclusives. They'll wait or they won't play it. Like it's a pretty stubborn community,
man. I'm either going to get it a year or two later, or I'm not going to play it.
Absolutely. I think it's money they've been leaving on the table for too long. So yeah, I think we're going to see, especially after the announcement, or the I think it was we call it an announcement. The announcement from Hiro Totoki. Is it Hiro Totoki this week? Talking about Hiro Totoki. Talking about how they're going to expand their horizons and start looking at other platforms. Look, it is all we got time for this week, so I do got to wrap it. Got to do the outros. Black Viking, it was awesome to have you on, man. Finally got you in. Congratulations to your moms too, man. For I heard you got married.
Yeah,
so
super dope,
that's
man.
awesome.
Hey, congrats.
Oh, congratulations. That's lovely.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. And is it Holly, is it? That blue number? Is that your name?
That's her name.
Okay, yeah. It was a pleasure being on here with Holly.
Sorry.
Oh no, it's all good.
I couldn't get to the ding dang button. Yes.
Moody, and I don't know how to pronounce.
Really nice.
What's it?
Garuda.
I'm a butch. Garuda. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Lovely to meet you, brother. I do watch your Longhouse podcast, brother, and I like your stuff, man. So, yeah. Lovely to meet you, bro.
Absolutely. Let the people know where they can find you, where they can see you weekly, and what you got coming up. And I'll make sure to let everyone know that, guys, all of the socials and anything you need to find anyone on the panel or any one of our guests will be linked down below. So you can head down there, click the links, take straight there.
Yeah, man. So I'm on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. At the Black Viking 3, I'm always talking shit on there. I have probably the most hilarious video I've ever made so far.
I just saw that come up. Yeah,
I posted that today. I couldn't stop. Every time I watch, I just can't stop laughing. It's that hilarious. And then me and my brother and friend just started the Longhouse podcast in December. We are already at 1,400 and something subscribers. We're doing the reception's been crazy with that. And we're on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And again, Riskit, thanks for having me on.
No, good, man. It took a while to get you on, but we're glad to have you on, man, and we can't wait to have you back soon. Dante, J. Moody, let the people know where they can find you. Thanks for coming through again this week, and what you'll be up to. And again, links in the description, people.
Hey, thank you. Hey, pleasure again for having me back on the show. Oh, Black Viking, pleasure meeting you, bro. Follow you on Twitter. Seen a lot of your actual channel that you and your brothers do. So shout out to that, man. You guys are killing it.
Thanks,
I do my own separate movie podcast called the Boozy Box Office Podcast, which you can find on Spotify with me and one of my best friends. We basically cover film, and we have a drink that's after the theme of the movie that we're watching. We go into kind of medium dives about movies, and that's kind of our thing. But you can find me on Twitter, Dante J. Moody. Always just try to keep it respectful at the same time, talking games and the stuff that we love. Shout out to the panel. Shout out to the chat. You guys have been awesome.
Mm-hmm. Chat's been absolutely on fire this week, man. It was good to see everyone in there. Garuda, thanks for coming through again, bro. Let the people know where they can find you, what you'd be up to. When are you going to kick that YouTube channel off? You got a monster PC now, man. No excuses. No excuses.
Oh, yeah. Look, I do have some great ideas that I've been sitting on for a while to start some of my own stuff up, but life has been very complicated to say the least. But I will get there. I will get there. Yeah, you can find me here. This is the best place to find me. 2 weeks in a row, then 2 weeks off. That's how I'll be sort of doing things for now, just because my work roster is like that. I work 2 weekends on, then 2 off. So that's kind of how we're running things for now. And I'm the same name on Twitter. I don't have any toxic stuff on there, but I'm just I just love games, man. And this just is a great escape from real life when it gets a bit tough sometimes. But thanks again for having me. And thanks to the panel. It was a great chat. So yeah.
Awesome, man. Thanks for coming through again. Infinite Umbra, another fantastic week. You're going to let the people know where they can find you, what you'll be up to, what you got planned for the rest of the week.
Yeah. I'm sorry, guests.
He's wild.
You a fool.
Listen, I want to thank you guys for being here with us tonight, chat family. But I want to thank our guests much more. Viking, it's a pleasure to finally talk with. Well, probably the second time I've talked with you, but pleasure to have you on here with us and get your great takes. Dante, of course, the same with you. Thank you for returning. Absolutely. And Garuda, you as well, brother. Thank you all for being here and holding us down. Hopefully we can get you back sometime, Viking, on some future topics and things like that and discussions. So maybe around June. Yeah.
That'll be
Absolutely.
perfect. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And congrats to your mother and to your podcast and everything, and it's more success your way. And you guys. So I didn't know it was your brother that was doing it with you. I thought it was just friends, you and your brother.
Yeah. Scale, Black Scale is my that's my actual brother. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. That is
cool.
dope. Yeah,
We started the podcast like we always just talk shit and watch or talk gaming anyway. And I was like, let's just throw some cameras on, bro, and just
Makes sense.
keep it rolling.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Absolutely. And shout
That's how
out, of
this
course,
started.
to Blue and Riskit, of course, as my panel mates and hosts for holding it down as well. Thank you all in the chat. If you haven't done so, hit the like button and subscribe. Of course, you can find me on Twitter X, Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite. And check out my podcast, The Fix, on Thursdays at 8 o'clock Eastern. If you go to my name or put in my name in The Fix, you should be able to find it and subscribe if you haven't. So, see you guys next week.
Absolutely, man. See you next week. That blue number, Holly, let people know where they can find you, what you'll be up to the rest of the week, and all that good stuff.
Yeah. To our guests, thank you for coming and being on. I don't even know if we should really call Garuda and Dante guests. They're our regular stopper buyers. And Viking, thanks for coming. You make me chuckle when I see you on other people's podcasts too. You just make me laugh,
Thanks.
man. And I am that blue number on Steam, PlayStation, Xbox. I'm mostly on Xbox, but I do sometimes dip my toe into the others, but try not to too much. Just kidding. And Twitter, that blue number. So thank you everyone for being here and listening to us and chatting. And we love to interact with you in the chat. So we appreciate that too.
Absolutely, man. Everyone in the chat, you guys have been absolutely amazing this week. And King, I'll shout out to King David for sending his chat over here, man. Really appreciate you as well. Yeah, just sort of final word on the community stuff, guys. Keep it chill. And just remember, like, when it comes to these insiders and all this sort of stuff, think of it like an iceberg. There's a lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes, and there's a lot of things that they don't share that they can't confirm. There's some things that they do share that are wrong, but there's a lot they do share that are right as well. So just be respectful. Keep it 100. Look after each other. This is not the PlayStation community. Yeah, we look after each other over here on the Xbox community, and we will see you all next week.
Bye.
Play some games.
Yeah, for all of y'all, I'm joking.
Oh, nice. Nice.